is this a video that gets me cancelled? Let's find out. Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm doing a video that I have been putting off for the longest time. It's a video that I've had quite a few requests for. It's also a video that I've been gathering ideas for a while, but I keep putting it off. And I think it's partly because I tend to only really post positive videos on my channel, and it feels weird to do one that is quite negative. I'm going to talk about the authors that I have broken up with, that I will not be returning to, or at least I don't plan to return to. And it's for a variety of different reasons. Some of them are problematic. Some of them, I've got literally 4 categories. I've got problematic, popular but not for me, previously loved, and then last chance. And yeah, I'm a bit nervous to do this. So in the description, I will link a video that I did in 2020, I think, which was talking about how I'm going to deal with problematic authors going forward. So I will link that. Some of this will overlap with that one, but I occasionally get requests to read certain authors or ask my opinion on certain authors or their books, and so I thought I would just put this here and then I can just direct people here when that happens. So yes, let's get into this. So we're going to start off with problematic. Now, I've already made that video talking about problematic authors and saying goodbye to them. Obviously, if any authors that I mention in any of these categories, they might be your favourite authors, and that's absolutely fine. The beauty of reading is that everyone has different opinions, and that's okay. But for me, there are certain authors that I will not support or promote anymore. My channel is very small, my platform is very small, but I still have a platform, and I am therefore something that I take very seriously, that responsibility. And there are just certain people that do not need to be in my corner of the internet. So let's do those first. Let's just get that out of the way. And there are 4. I'm sure there are more, but these are authors that I've previously read that I won't be reading again. So obviously, the Queen of the TERFs, J.K. Rowling, is top of that list. I used to be a massive Potterhead, massive. It was a huge part of my life, not just my childhood, but my life in general, to the point where when my husband proposed to me 5.5 years ago, he used a Harry Potter ring to propose with as a kind of stunt so that we could then go and choose my engagement ring together. It was a massive part of my life. However, we do not support J.K. Rowling here anymore. You will not see books in the background. I'm not going to mention her in other videos. She is not someone whose views I agree with, and I will therefore not be discussing her any further. And I know that there is a huge section of the bookish community who, talks about separating the art from the artist. Sometimes I can do that, but not when it's at a level that she is at. And personally, I subscribe to the view that my childhood nostalgia is not worth more than someone's literal ability to live their lives safely without the threat of bullying, violence, or worse. And she stands for a level of bigotry that I just cannot have. So J.K. Rowling, absolutely not. She is gone. Along with her is also Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie, which makes me very sad again because I love her writing, but she agrees with Rowling, so no more books from her. Then we have Alice Feeney. So Alice Feeney might be one that's kind of surprised a few people. She's a massive thriller author. I've read, I think, 3 or 4 of her books and thought they were quite clever. There are problematic themes in them. She often uses things like fat phobia in her writing, but in her novel, I Know Who You Are, I Know What You Did, something like that, I'll put it in the description, she used a really transphobic trope. And I will also link in the description the vlog where I read that book, because I literally was reading it on audiobook and I thought, it's not going there, is it? Is it? And it did. And I literally had to pull over to the side of the road to vlog because I was so incensed. Do be aware that in that vlog I do give spoilers, although I do warn you before I get into the spoilers. And that for me was no, we're done. I'm pretty sure that book came out in 2020, and we don't need that level of problematic behaviour, because all it does is reinforce the dangerous stereotypes that trans and non-binary people have to live with, and there is just no need. There were loads of other ways that story could have been done without that trope, and it's just lazy writing, and we don't need it. So I no longer read Alice Feeney, and she's an author that I know lots of people enjoy, but she is on my no thank you list. And then the last one on this list, as authors that I've read that are problematic, is Alex Michaelides, who wrote The Maidens and The Silent Patient. And I read The Silent Patient, and that was so bad. The mental health rep in that was so damaging. I won't be reading him again. It does also help that I thought the writing was lazy and not particularly good. And I've heard not great things about The Maidens. So those are 4 authors that you will definitely not see me reading or talking about again. Wow, I don't usually rant. That was quite therapeutic. Okay, we're going to go on to the next section, which is popular but not for me. So again, these are authors that I've read. I just didn't connect with their work, or I just don't have any urge to like pick their books up, and I'm going to basically stop trying. I think all of these I've read at least 2, if not 3 or 4 books, and it's just not working. So the first one of those is Stephen King, and the eagle-eyed viewers amongst you will notice that I have a Stephen King right here, which this is Carrie. I've also got, no, this is Misery. I've also got Carrie somewhere floating around, both of which I really enjoyed. I have read several others. I think I've read 8 or 9 Kings, and these were the only 2 that I actually enjoyed. And actually next year I'm going to put at least Misery onto my reread TBR, because I just want to check that it is one I want to keep. He's obviously an incredibly successful author, and he's loved by lots of people. And like from this point in the video onwards, like if you love these people, I apologise, they're just not for me. For me, I just find him really boring. I can't believe I actually just said that. I just cannot connect with his writing. I loved Misery and I loved Carrie. Carrie, I think I read both of them in one day. The others that I've read Dolores Claiborne, I've read Pet Sematary, I've read It, read that a few years ago. Can't see the point of putting yourself through that, but okay. And I've read a few others and I just haven't loved them. So he's definitely an author I won't be picking up again. Alongside Stephen King, we also have Hilary Mantel. This is when my brother starts shouting at the screen. If he's watching, sorry Ben, she's his favourite author. I read Bring Up the Bodies. I read Wolf Hall, which is the first one, and Bring Up the Bodies, which is the second one, I think. And I just found both really dry and dull and boring. So no more Hilary Mantel. Let's also get the next one out of the way, which is another one that Ben will be shouting at me for, and that is Ali Smith. Again, I know that she's a beloved author. I think I read Summer and Winter and The Art of something. I can't remember. The Art of Being Both. I think something like that. And again, I got to the end of those books and I was just like, what was the point of that? I don't get it. I feel like with Ali Smith, I'm not clever enough. It's too high literary fiction. And if you watch my channel, you know I enjoy literary fiction, but I feel like there are levels, and that feels like, you know, you get like high fantasy and high sci-fi. I feel like Hilary Mantel, that beeping's really fun. We love that car alarm going off. I feel like Ali Smith is like too high literary fiction, and I'm just not clever enough. Should we just wait for the beeping to stop? Someone turn your alarm off. I love living on a housing estate. Yes, so Ali Smith, Hilary Mantel. Sorry, Ben, I can't read any more of either of those authors. And then two more that are popular. One is Liane Moriarty. She writes lots of kind of thrillery books. I just struggle with the domestic thriller in general. I quite often find them quite dull. I've read a couple of Liane Moriarty's books. I think I read The Husband's Secret and another one. Why am I so bad at remembering books? Why didn't I look these up before I started filming? There are questions. And yeah, I just was like, this is fine. It's like a 2 or 3 star read, but she's not an author that I would feel any massive urge to pick up again. Sorry. And then the final one on this part of the list is Stacey Halls, and I've read all 3 of her books. They are always absolutely stunning. She has the most beautiful covers. She writes historical fiction, and I really wanted to love them, and each of them has been like a 3.5 star, which is fine. But again, I have no urge to pick her up again. I feel like if I found one of her books like for cheap, if a new book came out and I found it for cheap in a charity shop, I'd probably give it a go. But no, actually, I probably wouldn't. I've got much other stuff that I need to read. So yes, that's another author that you won't be seeing here. Okay, we've got 4 left. We've got 3 previously loved and 1 who's on their last chance. So the first one of those is probably going to be the opinion that gets me kicked off the internet, and that is Taylor Jenkins Reid, author of Evelyn Hugo, and Daisy Jones and the Six and all the other ones that everybody loves. So I've previously given Evelyn Hugo 5 stars, and I think I gave Daisy Jones and the Six either 4 or 5 stars, and I really enjoyed them at the time. I then reread Evelyn Hugo this year as part of my reread challenge, and I dropped it down to a 4, and actually I can't see me being that interested in picking up, we've now got people walking around outside, picking up any more of her books. I think I'm done. I kind of enjoyed them at the time, but when I went back and reread Evelyn Hugo, I noticed some issues with the actual writing. Jessie from Bow Ties and Books recently did a really interesting look at the problematic elements of Evelyn Hugo, especially in terms of race, so I will link their video in the description, because as ever they will do a far better, more eloquent job than I ever could of explaining that to you. And her new book, is it Carrie Soto or something? Not interested in, and I still haven't read Malibu Rising because again it just doesn't interest me. So yeah, I think Taylor Jenkins Reid is off my reading list these days. The next one is Lindsay Kelk, and I got a weird relationship with Lindsay Kelk because I've read 2 of her books. One I absolutely loved, which is I Heart New York, and then I made the mistake of picking up I Heart Hollywood, and the level of fat phobia in that just completely turned me off. And I won't be going any further with that series, and it's very unlikely. I feel like this previously loved category, it's possible that I might pick them up again, but I doubt it. And Lindsay Kelk, no. I really enjoyed how fun and silly and kind of frivolous the first book was, and then the second one, the protagonist, whose name I have now forgotten, just got really annoying. And like I said, the levels of like fat phobia, diet culture, there were homophobic slurs used. I was just like, this is unnecessary. And I know those books are a few years old, but no, not for me. I've got other people that I definitely want to read, and I don't think Lindsay Kelk is the one. And then the last one is quite a shocker, because actually there are 2 of their books right here, and there might be others somewhere scattered in, and that's Holly Bourne. I read Pretending, or tried to read Pretending, in July, and I DNF'd it, and my July wrap up will be live by the time this video is live, so you can go and check that out if you want to. But I DNF'd it 150 pages because it was just every other paragraph, it felt like the main character was like, I hate men, all men are terrible, all men are awful, blah blah blah. And yes, we know that there are plenty of humans in the world that are awful and problematic and terrible to be around, but it just went on and on and on, and I hated the choices the character was making. And yeah, I'm done with Holly Bourne, although I would put in brackets her adult writing, because I feel like for her YA, it might be that I'll pick up her YA books. I love her YA books. The Spinster trilogy was a trilogy that was really important to me a few years ago. The mental health rap in that is amazing. But her adult books, because I also read, oh, was it here? Look, Places I've Cried in Public was all right, and then Pretending, I was just like, what is this? What is this? No, it's not for me, is what it is. And then my last chance author, and I will give her one more chance before I leave her forever, is Ruth Ware. The only Ruth Ware book I've really loved was Turn of the Key, which again I reread last month. Previous month I read One by One and kind of enjoyed it at the time, but actually thinking about it, it was pretty dull, and I don't think I'm going to remember it in a couple of months' time. She's one of those who's like really easy to read, kind of beach read type books, but I think there are just better thriller authors around and better thriller stories coming through. So she's definitely on the last chance. I will pick up her next book, whatever that is. I don't know if she's announced a book recently, but the next one I see I will try, and then we will decide if I am breaking up with her forever or not. So that's my list. I feel like I've gone quite fast. You can probably tell how nervous I am to put this video up, but we're giving it a try. You guys asked, this is my list. Tell me some authors that you have broken up with recently and why, or if you haven't got authors you've broken up with recently, what would make you decide to not go back to an author? What would it be that would kind of push you over the edge? If you got to this point in the video, please leave me the broken heart emoji, because you know breakups are sad. Please subscribe if you would like more of this chaos, and I will see you in the next one. Thanks everyone, bye.